My name is Leela, I'm 34 years old, living in Seattle, Washington. My hands were steady, but my stomach was in knots. It was Thanksgiving, which meant I was sitting across from my sister Iris. The entire house smelled like turkey and my mother's too sweet perfume. As usual, Iris was holding court, telling some loud story about her perfect husband and her perfect life. I was just trying to eat my mashed potatoes and get through the day. I didn't want to fight. I just wanted it to be over. Then Iris let out a loud, fake laugh. She pointed her fork right at me. "Leela, look at you," she said, her voice loud enough for the whole table to hear. "Still single at 34? That's rough. When are you going to finally get a life?" My mother chuckled. My father just looked down at his plate. It was the same story every single year. Me, the disappointment, Iris, the star. I felt the familiar heat rise in my chest, the sting in my eyes, but this time something was different. I was different. I set my fork down on my plate very gently. The little clink of silver against porcelain sounded loud in the dining room. I looked right at Iris. "I wouldn't worry about me," I said, my voice quiet but clear. "I'm married." The room went completely silent. But before I tell you how everything flipped, like and subscribe, drop a comment, where are you watching from? The silence in the room was heavy. My father, David, froze with his fork halfway to his mouth. My mother, Clara, had a tight, fixed smile on her face, the one she used when company was over. And Iris, my sister, just stared at me, her perfect makeup and surprised expression making her look like a porcelain doll that had just been told no for the first time. It was always like this. My entire life I was just the quiet space they filled with their own noise. Growing up, I was the shadow, Iris was the sun. Iris was loud and I was quiet. Iris was demanding and I was easy. Iris was beautiful and I was just Leela. My parents didn't mean to be cruel, they just forgot I was there most of the time. Iris got the lead in the school play, I got straight A's. The night of her big performance, my parents bought a bouquet of flowers and took her to a fancy restaurant. The day I brought home my report card, my father looked at it and said, "That's nice, Leela. Don't leave it on the coffee table." I learned to be invisible. It was easier, it hurt less. I remember my high school graduation. I was second in my class. I had a speech to give. I was so proud. I had my blue dress laid out on my bed. I called home from my friend's house where we were getting ready. "Mom, are you and Dad on your way? It starts at 7 o'clock, I said, twisting the phone cord. I heard my mother sigh. "Oh, Leela, honey, that's tonight. I just don't know if we can make it." My stomach dropped. "What, why not?" "Well," she said, her voice strained, "Iris just had a terrible fight with her boyfriend, Chad. She is just a wreck. We're at her apartment. She's threatening to drop out of her community college. Your father and I we have to handle this, you understand?" I looked at my blue dress. I felt stupid. She has a fight with Chad every week, Mom. This one is different, Leela. It's serious. We're proud of you, honey, but family comes first. She hung up. I went to my graduation alone. I gave my speech. My friends' parents cheered for me and took pictures. When I got home later that night, my parents were on the sofa watching TV. Iris was asleep in her old room. "Oh, you're home," my dad said, not looking away from the screen. "How was your thing?" "It was my graduation, Dad," I said. Right, well, congratulations. Did you see? We managed to talk Iris down. It was a close one." My mother came out of the kitchen. "Leela, you left your dress on your bed. You're 18, you need to start picking up after yourself." That was the night I decided to go to college as far away as I could. I chose Seattle. It was 2,000 miles away. It felt like it wasn't far enough. My birthdays were just as quiet. Iris's 21st birthday was a huge, catered party at a rented hall. My father gave a speech about his beautiful, brilliant girl. My 21st birthday fell on a Tuesday. I was visiting from Seattle. I sat in the living room, waiting. My parents were watching their show. At 9 p.m., my father stood up and stretched. "Well, time for bed," he said. "Dad," I asked, my voice small. "What's up, Leela?" It's my birthday," he blinked. Oh, shoot, Clara, did we?" My mother came in. "Leela, don't do this. We've been so busy with Iris's engagement party planning. You know how much that's costing us. You could have reminded us." I felt that old, familiar shame. "You're right, I'm sorry. We'll get you a card tomorrow," she said, kissing the top of my head. It felt like a pat. I went up to my room and cried. Even my achievements were nothing. When I got my first real job, a good one, at a software firm in Seattle, I called them. I was so excited. Mom, I got the job. It's a really good position with benefits. Oh, that's wonderful, dear. Seattle, right? Gosh, it's so rainy there. Listen, I have to call you back. Iris just called. Her wedding caterer canceled, and it's a 5-alarm fire over here. Her life is just, it's always something. Her life was always something. My life was always nothing, but I kept trying. I am the one who is stupid. I am the one who kept thinking that this time they would see me. I drove home for holidays. I flew back for Christmas even when tickets were expensive. I brought gifts. I listened to endless stories about Iris, Iris's engagement, Iris's bridal shower, Iris's wedding, Iris's new house. I sat there and I nodded and I smiled. I kept showing up. I hoped every single year that something would change. I hoped that one day my mother would turn to me and ask, Leela, how are you? Tell me about your life. She never did. I thought about my husband, Evan. I thought about the life we built in Seattle. A life where I was seen, a life where I was loved. Evan, who knew all of this. Evan, who told me I didn't have to come. You don't have to set yourself on fire to keep them warm, Leela, he said, holding my hands before I left. I know, I said, but it's Thanksgiving. Maybe this year will be different. He gave me a sad smile. I love you. Call me. I drove 14 hours. I brought 3 homemade pies. I sat at this table in this house that didn't feel like my home. I was trying one last time to be their daughter, and Iris with her perfect life had to poke the bear. She had to remind me that I was 34, and in her eyes I was still the single, forgotten, invisible girl. But I wasn't. And as the silence stretched, as my mother's smile twitched and my father looked at his plate and Iris's face turned from mocking to confused, I knew. I wasn't that girl anymore. The drive from Seattle had been long. I love the drive usually. The pine trees, the mountains, the open road. It feels like freedom. But when I am driving east back to my childhood home, the air in the car gets heavy. The closer I get, the harder it is to breathe. I pulled into the driveway. It was the same house, the same patchy lawn, the same faded blue paint. I sat in my car for a moment, just listening to the engine tick. I sent a text to Evan. Leela, I'm here. Evan, you can turn around and come home. We can have our own Thanksgiving. Leela, I know I'll be okay. I love you. I grabbed my bag and the pies I had carefully baked. I walked to the door. I didn't even have to knock. My mother saw me from the window. She opened the door and the smell of turkey and old furniture hit me. Leela, you're here. Thank goodness, she said, pulling me into a one-armed hug. Her other hand was holding a dish towel. The drain in the kitchen sink is clogged. I told your father to fix it, but he's watching the game. Hi, Mom, I said. Happy Thanksgiving. You too, dear. Put your bags in your old room. The potatoes are in the pantry. They need to be peeled. And Leela, yeah, try to do something with your hair before Iris gets here. She's bringing her husband's boss. We want to make a good impression. I looked at my hair. It was in a simple bun. It was clean. It was practical. Okay, Mom. I walked into the house and it was like walking into a museum, the Iris Museum. The entryway had a new photo. A giant 5-foot-tall canvas print of Iris and her husband, Greg, on their wedding day. Iris looked beautiful. Greg looked rich. I went into the living room. The mantelpiece was covered. Iris and Greg cutting the cake. Iris and Greg on their honeymoon in Italy. Iris and Greg at some black tie event. I walked down the hallway. It was a timeline of Iris's achievements. Iris in her cheerleading uniform. Iris in her prom dress. Iris graduating from community college 5 years late, but she did it. Iris holding the keys to her new car. I looked for myself. I searched the entire living room, the hallway, the kitchen. On the very top of the cluttered bookshelf behind a vase, I found one, a small 4x6 frame. It was my high school senior photo. I was 17. I had braces. My own wedding was 8 months ago, my wedding to Evan. It was small, on a beach near Seattle. It was beautiful. We had photos, really good photos. Our friend is a photographer. I had sent them. I had mailed a beautiful leather-bound album to my parents for their anniversary. I looked around. Where was it? It wasn't on the coffee table. It wasn't on the shelves. Mom, I called out, walking into the kitchen. She was stirring gravy. Yes, honey, did you start the potatoes? The album I sent you for your anniversary. Did you get it? She didn't look up. Oh yes, it was very nice, dear. It's in the closet. We didn't want it to get dusty. In the closet, I repeated. My voice was flat. Yes, now the potatoes, Leela. Chop, chop. I found the peeler. I stood at the sink, my back to her. My hands started to shake. In the closet. For the next 2 hours I was a servant. I peeled potatoes, I mashed them, I scrubbed the sink until the drain finally cleared. I set the table with the good china that only came out for Iris. No one asked me about my life, no one asked about my job, no one asked me how Seattle was, no one asked how my drive was. My father came in once during a commercial. "Smells good, Leela, you always were the good worker." He patted me on the head like a dog. Then at 3:00 p.m., an hour late, the doorbell rang. It was like a switch was flipped. My mother shrieked, "They're here!" She ripped off her apron. My father jumped up and turned off the TV. The door burst open and there she was, Iris. She was wearing a cream-colored cashmere coat. Her blonde hair was perfect. Her husband, Greg, was behind her looking at his phone. "We're here," Iris announced as if she were the queen. "Iris, baby," my mother cried, rushing to hug her. "You made it." "We were so worried." "Oh, the traffic was awful," Iris said, handing her coat to my father, who hung it up like a butler. "Greg, honey, put the wine in the kitchen. It's the $200 bottle." Iris swept into the living room and my parents just followed her, their faces lit up. "You look so thin," my mother gushed. "I know, I've been doing Pilates and Greg's firm gave us another bonus, so we're going to Cabo for New Year's. You should see the resort." I stood in the doorway of the kitchen holding a dirty dish towel. Iris saw me, she smiled, a quick, dismissive flash of teeth. "Oh, hi Leela, you're here." "Hi Iris," I said. She looked me up and down, my simple black sweater, my jeans. Did you bring those pies from that place in town?" "I made them," I said. "Oh," she wrinkled her nose. "Well, that's sweet, Mom. I hope you have a backup, you know my stomach." I finished the gravy. I brought the food to the table. I sat down in my assigned seat, the wobbly one, and I just felt tired, so tired. I was tired of trying. I was tired of being the only one who did. I looked at the giant canvas of Iris on the wall, smiling down at our dinner. I just wanted it to be over. We were all seated. My father said a quick, mumbled prayer. The food was passed around. The $200 wine was opened and my mother cooed about how smooth it was. I drank my water. I was just trying to be small. If I was small, maybe she wouldn't see me. If I was quiet, maybe she would forget I was there. I could eat my turkey, say thank you, and be on the road back to Seattle by morning, back to Evan. Back to my real life. The turkey was dry. The cranberries were from a can. The potatoes I had mashed were lumpy because my mother had rushed me. The conversation, as always, was all about Iris. "The house renovation is almost done," Iris said, waving her fork. "The contractor said he's never seen anyone with such a specific, perfect vision. He said I have a real eye for design." "Oh, you've always been the creative one, honey," my mother said, beaming. "And Greg," Iris said, tapping her husband's arm, "tell them about the promotion." Greg cleared his throat. Junior vice president," my father boomed. "Wow, that's really something." "Congratulations, son. It means another $50,000 a year," Iris said, not even trying to be modest. "And a new company car, a Mercedes." "Wonderful," my mother sighed, "just wonderful. We're so proud of you both. You've just done so well for yourselves." I took a bite of stuffing. It tasted like cardboard. I could feel Iris's eyes on me. I didn't look up. I just kept my focus on my plate, but she wasn't going to let me be. She needed this. She needed to have everyone's attention, and she needed to make sure everyone knew I had none. "So Leela," she said, her voice suddenly loud, cutting through the chatter. The table went quiet. I looked up. "Yes, Iris, how is whatever it is you do in Seattle still just typing at a computer all day?" "I'm a project manager, Iris. It's a good job." Right, she said with a little smirk. "And your little apartment? Is it still, cozy? I bought a house actually last year with a yard." This made her pause just for a second. "Oh, a house, that's nice all by yourself. That's a big mortgage for one person." "I manage," I said, my voice quiet. This was the moment. She saw her opening. She had a new car, a promotion, a perfect husband. I had a house by myself. In her mind, I was still the loser. She let out that laugh, that high-pitched, fake laugh that was designed to make everyone else in the room laugh with her. "Leela, look at you," she said, her voice dripping with pity. "Still single at 34. That's rough." She looked around the table, gathering her audience. "I mean, I'm happy for you, really. Someone has to be the career woman in the family. Someone has to be the cool aunt to my future children." She pointed her fork at me. "When are you going to finally get a life?" I looked at my mother. My mother smiled at Iris, a little tight-lipped chuckle. "Oh, Iris, stop it," she said, but her voice was warm. She was enjoying it. I looked at my father. He studied his plate. He took a sudden, deep interest in his green beans. He always studied his plate. It wasn't the words, it was the years. It was the 34 years of this. All the forgotten birthdays, all the missed graduations. All the "that's nice, Leela," all the "Iris is having a crisis." All of it in that one sharp, pointed laugh. I felt the heat rise in my chest, the familiar sting in my eyes, but this time I didn't swallow it. I didn't look down at my plate. I was done being their punching bag. I was done being invisible. I didn't plan to say it. It just came out. I set my fork down on my plate very gently. The little clink of silver against porcelain sounded like a gunshot in the dining room. I looked right at Iris. My voice was quiet. It was steady. "I wouldn't worry about me," I said. "I'm married," and the room froze. But only for a second. Iris was the first to move. She threw her head back and let out a real, loud, ugly laugh. It was a braying sound. "Oh, Leela," she shrieked, clutching her stomach. "Oh my God, that is the saddest thing I have ever heard." "You're lying, you're making up a husband." She looked at our mother. "Mom, did you hear that? Leela's making up stories. This is so pathetic." My mother looked embarrassed. "Leela, don't be dramatic, it's Thanksgiving. Don't say such things. Please, girls, not today," my father mumbled into his napkin. "They didn't believe me. Of course they didn't believe me. It was so much easier for them to believe I was a desperate, pathetic liar than to believe Iris was wrong. It was easier to believe I was crazy than to believe I could have something they didn't know about." "I'm not lying, Iris," I said. My voice was still calm. I felt a strange, cold calm settle over me. "Right. Okay," Iris said, wiping a fake tear from her eye. "Where is he then? Is he invisible? Did you meet him in Canada? Oh, this is rich. Leela's imaginary husband. God, you're even more desperate than I thought." She was still laughing. My mother was still smiling. My father was still looking away. This was the moment I realized I was done. I was really, truly done. "I'm not desperate, Iris," I said, "and I'm not lying." Iris was still laughing. Okay, Mrs. Imaginary, whatever you say." "I invited you," I said. The laughter stopped. "What?" "I invited you," I said again, louder this time. "To my wedding, 8 months ago." My mother finally looked at me, really looked at me. Her face was a mask of confusion. "Leela, what on earth are you talking about? We never got an invitation to a wedding." My father chimed in, his voice full of that weary dad disappointment. "Leela, if you're trying to make a point, this is not the way to do it. It's hurtful." "I am hurtful?" I asked. I almost laughed. "I am hurtful, okay." "See," Iris said, crossing her arms. "She's losing it. She's finally just cracked." My hands were steady. I reached into my purse, which was on the floor by my feet. I pulled out my phone. The table went silent again. Iris's smile faded. She knew my phone. She knew I kept records. I had to. In this family, I was the only one who remembered the truth. I was the family accountant, the family historian, the one who remembered the dates and the times and the facts. It was my only defense. "I invited all of you," I said, unlocking the screen, "to my wedding in Seattle on March 14th. "We never got it, Leela," my mother insisted, her voice getting high. "I would remember getting a wedding invitation from my own daughter." "Yes, you would," I said. "I'm sure you would." I opened my email. I went to my wedding folder. I went to the subfolder marked tracking. "I sent the physical invitations by priority mail," I said, my voice sounding like a news reporter. "I wanted them to be special. They were in a blue box." I turned the phone screen toward my father. "Package sent to this address, delivered March 12th, 10:17 a.m. My father squinted. That could be anything, Leela." "It could," I agreed, "except for the signature." I tapped the screen. I enlarged the signature confirmation from the USPS website. "Signed for by," I read, "I. Benson," Iris Benson, her maiden name. She still used it for deliveries sometimes. My father looked at the screen. He looked at Iris. Her face was white. "Iris," my father said. His voice was quiet. I sign for packages all the time," Iris said, her voice suddenly high and shaky. "Mom and Dad they're old, they miss deliveries. It was probably junk. A catalog, was it, Iris?" I asked. I didn't look up from my phone. I was already opening the next file. "Was the email invitation junk too?" My mother looked confused. "What email?" "The Evite," I said. "From the wedding website. I sent them at the exact same time as the packages. I sent one to you, Mom, one to Dad. And one to Iris." I tapped my wedding website portal, the guest list. Here we are, I said. I turned the phone so my mother could see. Mom's email, status unopened. Dad's email, status unopened. I paused. I looked at Iris. She was starting to sweat. Her eyes were darting between me and my father. And then, I said, Iris's email, sent March 12th, 10:18 a.m. I tapped her name. Status, opened, March 12th. 10:19 a.m., a single minute. She had opened it 1 minute after I sent it. You must have, Iris stammered. That's a glitch, a mistake. Was it a mistake, Iris? I asked. Or was it this? I scrolled down. To the bottom of the page, the part I had memorized for 8 months, the part that had broken my heart. RSVP status, Mom Clara Benson. Response, will not be attending. RSVP status, Dad David Benson. Response, will not be attending. RSSB status, Iris Miller. Response, will not be attending. I looked up from my phone. I looked right into my sister's terrified eyes. All 3 RSVPs, I said, my voice perfectly clear and cold. Received from your IP address, Iris, on March 12th. At 10:21 a.m. you opened my wedding invitation, you saw my photos with Evan, and you declined for our entire family. 2 minutes? It took you 2 minutes to erase me. My father put his napkin on the table. He looked at Iris. His face was gray. Iris, he said, is that true? My mother just stared at the phone screen. I think she was still reading the names. Will not be attending. Iris, she was trapped. Her face, which was usually so perfect, was crumpled and ugly. She looked like a child. You opened it, Iris, I said, my voice still quiet. You saw my wedding dress, you saw my husband's name, and you clicked no for everyone. You didn't just hide it. You told me they weren't coming. The room was silent. The only sound was Iris starting to let out a dry, panicked sob. The room was completely still. It was the kind of silence that's so total you can hear your own blood. My mother, Clara, had one hand over her mouth, her eyes wide. My father, David, was staring at Iris. He wasn't looking at the turkey or his plate or the wall. He was looking right at his favorite daughter, and his face was dark. Greg, Iris's husband, just looked at his wine glass, swirling it like he wanted to be anywhere else on earth. And Iris, my sister's face was white, chalk white. The panic in her eyes was like a cornered animal. She was trapped and she knew it. She tried though, she tried to use the one weapon she had left, lying. I don't, she stammered, her voice high and thin. I don't know what you're talking about, that's fake. You faked that? I faked the USPS tracking website, Iris? I asked. My voice was cold, I felt cold. Did I fake your signature? Yes, maybe. I sign for packages all the time. How was I supposed to know? She shot back, her voice getting stronger. She was pivoting. She was turning from confused to accused. This is insane. You're attacking me on Thanksgiving. Iris, my father said, his voice was low. It was a warning. No, Dad, she's attacking me. She's jealous. She's always been jealous of me. Iris pointed her fork at me, and this time her hand was shaking. She was jealous of my wedding, so she made up this imaginary husband, and when we didn't believe her, she hacked the post office. This is crazy. She's crazy. I'm not jealous, Iris, I said, and I'm not crazy. I'm just telling the truth. Layla, my mother said, and her voice was pleading. Leela, honey, stop this. Whatever this is, just stop. You're scaring your sister. You're ruining Thanksgiving. I'm ruining Thanksgiving. The words echoed in my head. I bring the pies. I fix the sink. I peel the potatoes. I sit and I take the insults year after year, but the moment I bring a single receipt, I am the one ruining things. I'm not the one who ruined it, Mom, I said. I'm not the one who lied. I turned my phone screen back to Iris. What about the family group chat, Iris? Iris's head snapped up. What? What about it? The family text message group, the one you run, Benson Family Fun. Remember, you made it right before your wedding to send pictures of flower arrangements. So, she spat, so I was in it. And then, one day, I wasn't. It was March 12th. The same day the invitations arrived. The same day you RSVP'd no for everyone. You kicked me out of the family chat. I held up my phone. I showed them my text messages. I sent a message, hey, did the group get deleted? And then another one, Mom, Dad, did you change your numbers? No one answered. My father looked at my mother. Clara, did you know about this? My mother looked helpless. I don't know, David. I'm not good with the phone. Iris handles the phone. Exactly, I said. Iris handles everything. You were just viewing, Iris cried, the excuse sounding thin and desperate even to her. You never commented on my pictures, you never said congratulations, you were just lurking. I was cleaning up the member list. You kicked out your sister, my father said. It wasn't a question. Dad, it was. It was a busy time. You had time to open my invitation, I said. You had time to RSVP for Mom and Dad. You had time to kick me out of the group chat. And, I said, opening one last file, my email. You had time to delete the emails. I turned my phone to my mother. Mom, I sent you the wedding album, the physical one you put in the closet, but I also sent you the digital link to your email. I sent it 5 times. I showed her the sent folder. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Did you ever wonder why you didn't see them? I get so much junk mail, Leela, she started. Iris has your password, doesn't she? The blood drained from my mother's face. She helps me with the computer. She set up the online banking. I looked at your login history, I said. My voice was flat. I work in tech, remember the nothing job? I got an alert on my old family account that a login was suspicious. It was from Iris's phone. She's been logging into your email account for a year, Mom. This is, my father said. He stood up, his chair scraped the floor. Iris, is this true? Iris looked at our father. He was the one person she couldn't charm, not really. He was the one person whose respect she craved. And he was looking at her like she was a stranger. That's when she finally broke. The anger and the lies just evaporated. Her face crumpled. Her perfect porcelain doll face just shattered. She started to cry. But it wasn't a sad cry. It wasn't an I'm sorry cry. It was a hot, angry, I got caught cry. She sobbed, burying her face in her hands. Iris, my father said, his voice hard. Why, I don't know, she wailed. I didn't think. Yes, you did, I said. You thought about it. You opened the invitation. You RSVP'd for them. You hid the package. You deleted the emails. You removed me from the chat. That's not thinking. That's a plan. Why, Iris? Why? Iris lifted her head. Her makeup was running. Mascara was streaked down her cheeks. She looked ugly. She looked, for the first time in her life, exactly how she was on the inside. It was my year, she screamed, her voice raw. The room was silent, just her shriek hanging in the air. It was my wedding year, she said, her voice dropping to a low, trembling, hateful whisper. It was my turn. Everything was about my wedding. The flowers, the venue, the money, it was all supposed to be about me. And then you, she said, jabbing a finger at me, you have to go and get married too, quietly, secretly. You didn't even tell us you were dating. I did, I said. I told you about Evan for a year. You never listened. You called him that Seattle guy. It doesn't matter, she yelled. You sent that stupid blue box. I opened it and it was a wedding invitation to your beach thing in March, 2 months before my wedding, my real wedding. My father flinched. Iris, no, she was trying to steal it. She was trying to steal my thunder. It wasn't important. Your little thing, it just wasn't important. It wasn't as important as my wedding. I was busy, I was stressed, I had 100 things to do and I just made it go away. I deleted it. I threw the box in the trash. It wasn't important. She looked at me, her eyes full of tears and fire. Why couldn't you just let me have my year, Leela? Why did you have to make everything about you? I just stared at her. Make everything about me. Me, the girl who ate her birthday cake alone. Me, the girl who went to graduation by herself. Me, the girl who was told to peel potatoes before she even got a hello. I felt nothing. I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel sad. I didn't feel triumphant. I just felt empty. I looked at my mother, who was staring at Iris, horrified. Not horrified because of what Iris did. Horrified because everyone was seeing it. I looked at my father. He looked like he had been punched. He looked old. I looked at Iris, the golden child, my sister, the sister who threw my wedding in the trash because it wasn't important. And I knew I was done. I felt my legs move. I didn't tell them to. It was just an instinct, like pulling your hand away from a hot stove. My chair made a loud, scraping sound on the hardwood floor. It was the loudest sound in the room, louder than Iris's sobs. I was standing. Everyone was looking at me. Iris stopped crying, her mouth half open. My mother put a hand out like she was going to touch my arm, but she was too far away. Leela, sit down, sweetheart, let's just calm down. It's Thanksgiving. No, I said. My voice was quiet. It sounded strange to my own ears. It was calm. It was clear. It was final. Leela, my father said. His voice was a plea. Please, we can talk about this after dinner. We'll talk to Iris. Talk about what? I asked. I looked at him. I really looked at him. What is there to talk about? She told you the truth. She threw my life in the garbage because it wasn't important. I looked at my mother. You want me to sit down, you want me to be calm, you want me to eat my turkey, you want me to, what? Pretend this didn't happen just so you can have a nice holiday. Leela, don't be dramatic, my mother said, her voice tight. She was falling back on the old script. I was dramatic. I was ruining things. I'm not being dramatic, Mom, I said. I looked around the table at the half-eaten food, the dry turkey, the $200 bottle of wine that Greg was still nursing. I am just done. I said the word and I felt it in my bones. Done. I am done, I said again a little louder. I am done trying. I am done showing up. I am done driving 14 hours with 3 pies I baked, pies you didn't even want. I am done peeling potatoes and fixing your sink and listening to you tell me to fix my hair. My mother flinched. She remembered. I am done being your invisible girl, I said, the good worker. The quiet one, the one who is just here, the one you can ignore. I looked at my father. I am done waiting for you to see me. I am done waiting for you to just once say, Iris, stop, be nice to your sister. You never did, not once. You just looked at your plate. My father looked down at his plate. He did it right then. He couldn't help himself. I looked at Iris. She was staring at me, her tears forgotten, her face was hardening. I had taken the spotlight. Even now, this was about her. And you, I said to her, I'm done with you. I am done being your shadow. I am done being your punchline. I am done being the before picture so you can be the after. You are ruining my life, Iris suddenly screamed. She was back. You are trying to turn them against me. I said I was sorry. No, you didn't, I said, my voice still quiet. You said I was stealing your year. You said my wedding wasn't important. You're not sorry you did it, Iris. You're just sorry I found out. Leela, please, my mother begged. She was standing up now. Don't do this. Don't do this to me, to the family. It's Thanksgiving. We have to stay together, her words. Stay together like we were this happy, perfect thing. We weren't a family. We were just a group of people who were related. We were a habit, a bad habit. No, Mom, I said, we don't. You have to stay with her. I nodded at Iris. You've made your choice. You made it every day for 34 years, when you forgot my birthday, when you skipped my graduation, when you put my wedding album in a closet. That's not fair, she cried. It's just the truth, I said. I picked up my purse from the floor. I took my car keys out of the pocket. The little jingle they made was so normal. Leela, stop, my father said. He stepped toward me. Wait, just wait. Don't walk out. I stopped. I turned to look at him. Wait, I asked. You want me to wait? I let that hang in the air. I waited, I said, my voice finally breaking just a little, a tiny crack. I waited for 8 months. I got married on a beach. It was beautiful. My husband, Evan, he's a good man. You would like him. And after we said our vows, I checked my phone. I checked it because I thought maybe you just got the date wrong. Maybe you'd call, maybe you'd send a text. Congratulations. We're so sorry we missed it. We love you. I was looking at all of them now, my mother, my father, my sister. I waited, I whispered. I waited all night. I waited the next day. I waited. I waited 8 months for one of you, any of you, to just remember I existed. I spent 8 months waiting for all of you. I'm not waiting anymore. Iris started to cry again. Loud, ugly, theatrical sobs. You're horrible. You're trying you're abandoning us. I looked at her, her face twisted in this fake performative grief. The same girl who threw my wedding in the trash. I didn't say anything. I just shook my head, a small, slow side-to-side motion, no more. I turned around. I walked out of the dining room. I heard my mother yell, Leela, Lila, don't you walk away from me. I heard my father call my name, Leela, wait. I heard Iris just screaming. I walked down the hallway. I passed the giant 5-foot canvas of Iris and Greg, their smiling, perfect, lying faces. I opened the front door. The cold November air hit my face. It was so cold it stung. It felt good. I walked outside and I did not look back. I closed the door, the sound of it clicking shut behind me. It was the best sound I had ever heard. My hands were shaking. I couldn't get the key in the car door. I fumbled it, dropping the keys on the cold driveway. They made a small, pathetic clatter. "Get it together, Leela," I whispered to myself. My voice was shaking too. I picked up the keys. This time I got the door open. I threw my purse onto the passenger seat. I got in. I slammed the door. The sound from the house was cut off. It was quiet. I was in my car, my little safe metal box. I locked the doors. Click. I just sat there for a second. My heart was a drum. It was beating so hard I could feel it in my throat, in my ears. I was breathing in short, shallow gasps. I put my head on the steering wheel. The plastic was cold against my forehead. I did it. I really did it. I walked out. I could see the front door of the house through my windshield. I waited for it to open. I waited for my mother to come running out in her apron or my father to come and block the car. The door stayed closed. The curtains in the living room window twitched. Someone was watching me, probably my mother. I put the key in the ignition. The engine started. The sound was loud in the quiet driveway. I turned on the headlights. The bright beams cut through the late afternoon darkness, illuminating the garage door, the patchy lawn, the empty house next door. I put the car in reverse. I backed out of the driveway. I did it slowly. I didn't want to speed. I didn't want to spin gravel. I wanted this to be calm. I backed onto the street. My street. The street I grew up on. I put the car in drive. I drove away. I didn't look in the rearview mirror. I just drove. I drove through my old neighborhood, the familiar houses, the stop signs, the park where I used to play by myself while Iris was at her cheerleading practice. I got to the highway. I merged onto the on-ramp. I was heading west, towards home. The first 10 miles I just drove. My hands were gripped on the steering wheel. My knuckles were white. I was still shaking. I passed a sign. Seattle. 21 miles. It was a long drive. I had planned to leave in the morning. I had a hotel reservation for the way back. I didn't have my suitcase. It was still in my old bedroom. My toothbrush, my change of clothes, all my pies. I almost laughed. I left my pies. It didn't matter. I could buy a toothbrush. I could buy clothes. I was wearing a sweater and jeans. I had my wallet. I had my phone. I had my car. I was fine. An hour passed. The sun was setting. The sky was a beautiful, dark, bruised purple. It was getting cold. I turned on the heat. My phone buzzed in my purse. I looked at it. The screen lit up. Mom, it buzzed and it buzzed. I watched it. I let it ring. After a minute, it stopped. 10 seconds later, it started again. Mom, she was going to keep calling. She was going to, what? Tell me to come back. Tell me I forgot my pies. Yell at me. My hand moved all by itself. I reached for the phone. I didn't answer it. I held the power button down. The screen went black. I turned off my phone. I felt a release, a click, like a rope had been cut. There was no one on the other end of the line, just me. Just the car, just the road. I drove for 3 hours. In total, complete silence, no radio, no podcast, just the sound of the tires on the asphalt. And in that silence, I thought about the look on Iris's face. That it wasn't important. I thought about my mother's face, that don't be dramatic. I thought about my father just looking at his plate. I thought I would feel sad. I thought I would be crying. I wasn't. I felt light. It was a strange feeling. My stomach was empty. I was tired. I was still a little shaky, but I felt light. I felt like I had been carrying a backpack full of rocks for 34 years, a heavy, heavy backpack, and today I had set it down. I had just walked away from it. It was still sitting in that dining room. The rocks were still there, but I wasn't carrying them anymore. Freedom, this is what freedom felt like. It wasn't a party. It wasn't fireworks. It was just quiet. It was just peace. It was just my own 2 hands on my own steering wheel pointing me towards my own life. I drove until I couldn't drive anymore. I pulled into a small, clean motel in the middle of nowhere, a little town in Montana. I paid for a room in cash. I bought a toothbrush and a bottle of water from the lobby. I went into the room. It was just a room, a bed, a TV. A clean bathroom. I plugged in my phone. I turned it on. It exploded. 22 missed calls. Mom, 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 dad, mom, Iris, mom. A wall of text messages. Mom, Leela, you come back here right now. Mom, this is not funny. You're breaking my heart. Mom, your father is very upset. Dad, Leela, just call us, please, we're worried. Iris, you are I hate you, you ruined everything. Mom, Leela, please, I'm sorry, just call me. I looked at the messages, I read them all, and then I called the one person I wanted to talk to. It rang once. Leela, Evan's voice, warm, worried. Leela, are you okay? I haven't heard from you. I was about to call your mother. I started to cry the minute I heard his voice. Though the safety in his voice, I broke. It wasn't a sad cry, it was just a letting go cry. Hey, he said, his voice soft. It's okay, I'm here, you're okay, where are you? I'm at a motel, I sobbed. In Montana, I think. What happened? Are you hurt? No, I said, no, I'm not hurt, I told them I left. There was a pause on his end, a short one. Okay, he said, his voice was so steady. Okay, you left, good. Are you coming home? Yes, I said, I'm coming home. Okay, he said again, I'm waiting. Do you want me to come and get you? I can be there by morning. No, I said, wiping my eyes. No, I'm okay, I can drive, I just wanted to hear your voice. I love you, Leela, he said. I am so proud of you. You did it. You're free. We talked for a few more minutes. He made me promise to text him at every stop. He made me check the lock on my motel door. I hung up. I plugged my phone in. I put it on Do Not Disturb. I took a shower. I washed the house off me, the smell of the turkey, my mother's perfume. I got into the clean, cold bed. I fell asleep in 2 seconds. The next day I drove for 14 hours. I texted Evan at every gas stop. Leela, Wyoming, getting gas. Evan, good, I love you, be safe. Leela, Idaho. Getting coffee. Evan, almost home, I'm making soup. I didn't listen to music, I drove. I watched the mountains get bigger. I watched the trees change. I got to Seattle. I got to my neighborhood, my real neighborhood. I pulled into my driveway, my real driveway. The light was on. Before I could even get my key out of the door, it opened. And Evan was there. He didn't say anything. He opened his arms. I walked into them. He held me so tight. I buried my face in his chest. He smelled like home. He smelled like soup and just, Evan, he just held me. He didn't ask questions. He didn't ask what happened or what did they say. He just held me. I stood there in his arms in the doorway of my house, and I felt seen, I felt heard, I felt loved. You're home, he whispered into my hair. I'm home, I cried. I realized I didn't have to earn this. I didn't have to peel potatoes for this. I didn't have to be quiet for this. I didn't have to make myself small. I could just be. And I was loved. This was family. The woman who walked into that house in her parents' driveway, that wasn't the woman who was standing here now. That woman she was gone, and I was glad. The first few days back in Seattle were quiet. I felt strange, like I was a ghost in my own life. I was tired all the way down to my bones. I had been holding my breath for 34 years, and I had finally let it out. Now I was just empty. Evan was my anchor. He didn't push me. He didn't ask for a play-by-play of the fight. He just let me be. He brought me tea in the morning. He made soup for dinner. We sat on the couch and watched old, stupid movies. He would just reach over and take my hand. That was all, and it was everything. He just made me feel safe. My phone, however, was not quiet. It was a war zone. I had turned the ringer on, but I kept it on the kitchen counter like it was a bomb. The calls came one after another. Mom. I would just watch it light up and then go dark. Then the texts started. They were all from her. Leela, you come back here right now. This is not funny. You're breaking my heart. You are tearing this family apart. Your father is very upset. How could you do this to me after all I've done for you? I read them. I didn't feel angry. I just felt tired. It was the same script. I was the problem. I was the one doing this to her. Then my father called. I was in the kitchen making toast. My hand I answered it. Leela, his voice was small. He sounded 100 years old. Hi, Dad, I said. Are you okay? Are you safe? I'm safe, Dad. I'm home in Seattle. Oh, he said. Good, that's good. There was a long, terrible silence. I could hear my mother screaming in the background. She wasn't on the phone. She was just screaming. Is it her? David, is it her? Give me the phone. Give it to me. He must have walked into another room because the screaming got muffled. Leela, he started. He couldn't say it. He couldn't say I'm sorry. He couldn't say Iris was wrong. He couldn't. I'm glad you're safe, he said again. It was all he had. Okay, Dad, I said. I wanted to cry, but I didn't. Your mother, she's very upset. I'm sure she is, I said. Well, okay, you take care of yourself, Leela. You too, Dad, I said, and we hung up. It wasn't It wasn't a fix, it wasn't closure, but it was something. It was the first time he had ever called me just to see if I was okay. A week later, the email came. The subject line just said our family. It was from Iris. My stomach twisted. I stared at the subject line for almost an hour. Evan saw me. You should read it, he said, sitting next to me on the sofa. Don't let it be a monster in the closet, just see what it is. Then you can delete it. He was right, I clicked it. It was a novel, it was thousands of words, it was a masterpiece of Iris. It started with Dearest Leela. It went on and on about her stress, her wedding, the pressure she was under. The cost of the flowers, the drama with her caterer. Then it turned to me. She wrote about how I was always distant, how I was cold, how I never seemed happy for her. Then came the justification. This was the part that made my hands go cold. I was just trying to protect Mom and Dad, she wrote. I knew they couldn't afford to fly to Seattle for your little thing. They were spending so much on my wedding. And I was trying to protect you. I knew you would be heartbroken when they said no. I was trying to spare everyone's feelings. She was protecting me by throwing my wedding, my marriage, my life in the trash. Then came the apology. I am so sorry, she wrote, that you feel this way. I am so sorry that you misunderstood my actions. I was only ever trying to do what was best for the family. It wasn't an apology, it was an accusation, and then the ending. The final, perfect, Iris-sized twist. But you have to know, she wrote, that what you did was unforgivable. You ruined Thanksgiving, you made Dad cry, you turned everyone against me, you were so cruel, Leela, you have broken this family. And I just don't know if I can ever forgive you. I read that last line. I don't know if I can ever forgive you. I read it again, and then a sound came out of me. It was a laugh. It wasn't a happy laugh. It was a laugh of release. Evan, I said, my voice shaking, you have to read this. He read it over my shoulder. His face was blank. Then he got to the end. She can't forgive you, he said, and he started to laugh. He couldn't help it, and I couldn't either. We laughed. We sat on our couch in our safe little house in Seattle, and we laughed until we were both crying. It was the most insane thing I had ever read. She was unbelievable. She was never going to change. She was never ever going to see what she did. She was the victim. She would always be the victim, and in that moment I was free. The anger, the hurt, the 34 years of waiting for her, it evaporated. It was gone. She couldn't hurt me anymore. She was a joke. I didn't delete the email. I made a new folder in my inbox. I named it the Iris Files. I moved her email into it, and I never ever answered my mother. She stayed silent. After that first week of furious non-stop calls, they just stopped. Christmas came. The mailbox was empty. No card, no text, no Merry Christmas, Leela, nothing. Her silence was her answer. She chose Iris. She chose the drama. She chose the lie because the lie was more comfortable than the truth. That hurt. That hurt more than Iris's email. It was a quiet, cold, final rejection. I had to let her go. I had to mourn the mother I always wanted but never ever had. The mother who would have been horrified. The mother who would have protected me. She wasn't that person, and she never would be. But my dad, he kept calling once a week, sometimes once every 2 weeks. The calls were awkward. How's the weather in Seattle? It's raining, Dad. Oh, okay, well, we got some snow here. We talked about nothing, the weather, the local sports team, but he was listening. For the first time in my life, he was asking me questions. He asked about my job, he asked about Evan, and one night in February he called. I got that album, he said. His voice was rough. What album? The one from the closet, your wedding album. I looked at it. I held my breath. I didn't say anything. It's beautiful, Leela, he said. Evan, he looks like a good man. You look happy. My eyes, they filled with tears. I couldn't speak. I am, Dad, I whispered. I'm very happy. That's good, he said. That's really good. I'm sorry, Leela. I'm sorry I missed it. It was enough. It was a crack in the wall. It was a start. A whole year went by. Fall came again. The leaves turned. The air got crisp, and then it was Thanksgiving. My phone was silent. No calls. No come home texts, no invitations. I didn't expect one. I didn't want one. I was in my kitchen baking a pie just for me, for Evan. Evan came in. He wrapped his arms around me from behind. My parents are having everyone over at 3, he said into my hair. Do you want to go? I was nervous. What if they don't? They love you, he said. Just come be with us. Okay, I said. Okay, we drove over. My stomach was in knots. We walked in. The house it was warm. It smelled like turkey and cinnamon and life. It was loud. People were talking. Kids were running. Music was playing. Evan's mom, Mary, saw me. Her face it lit up. Leela, she shouted. She rushed over. She wasn't holding a dish towel. She wasn't telling me to fix my hair. She grabbed me. She pulled me into a real hug. A strong, warm, I'm so happy you're here hug. You made it, she said. I saved you a seat. Here, give me your coat. Get a glass of wine. She dragged me into the kitchen, talking the whole time. How was that big project at work? Did you get it done? You were so worried about it last month. She remembered what I told her last month. I did, I said, stunned. It went really well, actually. I knew it would, she said, patting my arm. You're a rock star. I stood there. I looked around her kitchen and on the fridge, there was a picture, a 4x6 photo held up by a stupid little apple-shaped magnet. It was a picture of me and Evan. From our wedding, the one I had sent them in a Christmas card. It was right there on the fridge for everyone to see. I stared at it. Mary followed my eyes. Oh, she said, and she smiled. It's my favorite. You both just look so happy. My eyes, they overflowed. I couldn't stop them. Oh, honey, she said, her voice soft. She didn't make a fuss. She wiped my cheek with her thumb. No tears, only turkey. Come on. Let's eat. We sat at the table. It was crowded. It was loud. People passed food. They laughed. They told bad jokes. Nobody mocked anyone. Nobody tried to score points. I sat there between Evan and his mom. And I felt peaceful, I felt warm, I felt sweet, I felt seen. I realized this is what family should feel like. It shouldn't hurt, it shouldn't be a test. It shouldn't be a fight every single day just to exist. It should just be warm and loud and kind. It should just feel like home. I used to think my story was sad. For 34 years, I was the forgotten daughter. I was the invisible one, the quiet one, the before picture so my sister could be the after. My whole life was just waiting. I was waiting for someone to finally see me. I was waiting for my mother to ask about my day. I was waiting for my father to tell Iris to be kind. I thought that being a good daughter meant being quiet. I thought strength meant enduring the pain. I believed that if I just tried harder, if I baked one more pie, if I drove 14 hours and smiled through one more insult, that one day, they would finally love me. I was wrong. Strength isn't about how much pain you can take. Strength is about deciding to stop being hurt. My strength wasn't in my silence. My strength was in my voice, in that one quiet sentence. I'm married. My strength was in my feet, walking out that front door and not looking back. I finally realized I wasn't the forgotten daughter. I was the daughter who finally remembered herself. I was the one who walked away. We are all told that blood is thicker than water. It's the one excuse we use to stay in rooms that are hurting us, but that's not the real saying. The full quote is, "The blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb." It means the bonds you choose, the family you make, are stronger than the family you were just born into. My old family, they weren't my home. They were just walls. They were just a house I grew up in, a habit of pain I couldn't break. Home is Evan's hand in mine. Home is his mother putting my wedding picture on her fridge. Home is a place where you don't have to fight for a seat at the table. It's where they listen when you talk. It's where you are loved for exactly who you are, not for how quiet you can be. The best revenge is not revenge. It's not about making them hurt. The best revenge is peace. It's building your own life. It's being so happy that you don't even think about them. It's never ever letting anyone make you feel small again. This is my story, but I know I am not alone. I know that someone else right now is sitting at a table feeling invisible. Someone is being told don't be dramatic as they are being deeply hurt. Someone is peeling the potatoes just wishing. Someone would ask them how they are. If that is you, I see you. You don't have to stay there. You don't have to be quiet. You have permission to choose yourself. You have permission to walk out the door. You have permission to build your own home. Thank you for listening. If you have a story about finding your peace, share it in the comments. I'm reading them. Like and subscribe, and I'll be back with the next story. You are not alone.